Hi to you all. White is required to checkmate in 3 moves in the position in front of us. Can you see the key move? There is only one move, quite naturally, that will do it. It's a totally unexpected move. You may want to pause this and come back to it. Right, well, let's just take a look at this. This is in fact the only move to win this. And what is rather bizarre about it is that white is inviting black to take the bishop, promote to a queen and give check, which on the face of it seems incomprehensible, but there is a method in the madness. Just take a look at this position, and what we need to consider here is what white is threatening. Well, black has 2 captures here. He can capture in the aforementioned manner, or he can take this knight. Should he do anything else that he can legally do, in other words, move this pawn, or move this bishop down here, or this way, then white is threatening the following. Just note this, and there's no defense to it. Knight b3 check. He has to take the knight off, and then the killer punch reply of rook c2 mate. Now that is quite interesting, isn't it? So bearing all of that in mind, it has to be the captures that we need to consider. So just let's put these back and take a look at those captures. We'll leave taking the bishop until last, because that has an interesting twist to it, which is not obvious by any means. So we have just played bishop from e2 to d1, and we've proven that should black do anything other than take here or take here, it's knight b3 followed by checkmate. So black decides to take the knight here. So how does white approach it? Clearly knight b3 isn't possible because the knight is no longer on the board, so we have to think differently. So how do we win this one? Okay, well, this is straightforward because he plays knight d3. Now, he's no longer protecting his bishop. Of course, he can't take it with a pawn because check. Now, should the king come this way, then we have checkmate there. On the other hand, should the king come here, then it is checkmate. And equally, if the king had taken the bishop instead of playing king d2, that would similarly be checkmate. So, with all of that in mind, just put all of this back, we'll look at taking the bishop. This problem won 6th prize in a Sam Lloyd competition, incidentally. I think it deserved a bit better than that, but who am I to judge? Maybe I'm not good enough to judge anything like that. I'm probably not, but it's just a personal opinion. Okay, bishop d1 is the key move, and we've tried everything, including taking here, other than this. So let's do this. Let's take this bishop off and let's replace it with the queen. If you promote to any other piece, you're in the same boat, incidentally, or not as good, in fact. So promote to a queen and give check. Now, white seems to be faced with a bit of a problem here, doesn't he? But he isn't, because all that he needs to do is to play king f2. Now, what is noticeable about this position, would you say? Just take a look at it for a few seconds. So I'm going to ask you the question, if black could forego moving, would he be safe? Yeah, it's a tutvong. If black didn't need to move there, then there'd be no checkmate on the following move. If you try and find a checkmate now, just suppose that black doesn't move, you won't be able to do it, because black's position is such that the pieces are judiciously placed that he can get around being checkmated. However, when he does decide to move, it doesn't matter what he does, he's checkmated. For instance, should he put his queen like this, then just have a look at this. Then that is checkmate. I think you'd agree. Yep. Should he play the knight to here? And this is what I was thinking just a moment ago. Yeah, now we can get away with this. That is also checkmate. So neither of those moves of the queen and the knight to c2 are of any use at all. So we play bishop d1, c takes d1 queen, king f2, and we've tried queen c2 and knight c2. If the pawn moves here, then it's queen d6 mate. That's rather neat. If he moves the bishop like this, then you can choose any one of these squares to checkmate him on. Probably, if he moved this way, the easiest method is queen to e3, checkmate. And of course, should he move the bishop anywhere like this, you just take the bishop off and it's checkmate. So none of that works. Now, should he go the other way with the queen, should he move to here, like this, then of course by implication it's queen e2 mate. If he moves to here, then it's king f3 mate. He exposes the rook, which is rather nice, and the knights and the rook and the queen do the rest. So none of that works. And of course, should he move the queen down here, then you're looking at queen e1 mate again, like with queen c2. He's moving away from the key squares. Should he move this way, of course, then it's queen e1. Should he move to here, it's king f1. Should he move to here, it's king to g1. And should he move to here, well then you don't have any problem because you can clearly come here. Black is a non-checking move, so there's no problem there at all. So that would be indisputably checkmate. Let's just put this position back. So that's definitely a checkmate in 3 moves. There's no argument on that one. Let's put this back in the original position. And I have something in mind here that I'm going to lay on you and see what you think about it. Okay, do we have the original position there? I think we do, yeah, that looks right. Okay, just look at that position for a moment and just imagine, would it make any difference if we put a knight here? Now, I'm going to leave it at this stage for you to have a good look at that. And the question is, would bishop d1 succeed? Now, I'll give you a clue. There's one line that gives the game away. You don't need to consider any of the other lines. There's just one line as to whether it succeeds or not. And if it doesn't succeed, is there a key move for white in this position that would enable him to checkmate within the 3 moves? So what I'm as good as saying is, if bishop d1 doesn't work, can we do it with something else? And I'll follow this video up with another one that gives the answer to this. So watch out for that one and enjoy your chess, and goodbye for now.